why reading notes doesn't work, and what to do instead. Have you ever read through pages of notes only to forget most of it moments later? You're not alone. That fleeting sense of productivity you feel while highlighting, summarizing, or rereading is deceptive. Neuroscience tells us that when you rely on passive learning methods, only a tiny fraction of the information actually makes it into your long-term memory. The rest, it disappears, sometimes even before you close the book. If you've ever felt frustrated after hours of studying with little to show for it, this article is for you. Let's break down why passive learning fails and introduce the powerful science-backed method that transformed my results in medical school: active recall. By Haddad. The problem with passive learning. Passive learning includes activities like reading or rereading notes, highlighting textbooks, listening to lectures or podcasts, watching videos without interaction. These methods feel productive, but your brain isn't actually doing much. You're simply absorbing information through one sensory input, usually visual or auditory, without requiring your brain to retrieve or process that information meaningfully. In fact, studies in cognitive psychology show that recognition, the ability to recognize information when it's in front of you, is a far weaker form of memory than recall, the ability to retrieve information from memory without cues. What is active recall? Let's use a metaphor. You can't build muscle just by watching someone lift weights. Similarly, you can't build memory by just watching, reading, or listening. You have to actively train your brain to retrieve information. This is what active recall does. Imagine a student named Mark. While reading his notes, several regions of his brain are active. The occipital cortex processes the visual input. The angular gyrus and fusiform cortex interpret the words. But unless he recalls the information, his hippocampus, the brain's memory center, remains largely unstimulated. To engage the hippocampus and lock memories in place, Mark needs to close the book and test himself on what he just read. This act of pulling information from memory is what strengthens it. How to use active recall effectively. Here are 4 proven methods to make active recall work for you. 1. Turn notes into questions. Start by learning the material and summarizing it in your own words. Then, create questions based on your notes. Example: instead of photosynthesis involves chlorophyll, write the question: what pigment is essential for photosynthesis? Now, regularly quiz yourself without looking at the answers. If you can answer it, great, you've built a memory. If not, go back, review, and quiz yourself again later. You can use physical flashcards or apps like Quizlet, or create a question list in your notebook. Use spaced repetition with Anki. Anki is a digital flashcard tool that combines active recall with spaced repetition, a technique where information is reviewed at increasing time intervals. Here's how it works. 1. Day 1. Learn and recall a fact. 2. Day 3. Review it again. 3. Day 7. Review once more. 4. Day 14. Check again. Spaced repetition mimics the natural forgetting curve and trains your brain to hold onto information for longer. It's one of the most effective study techniques ever developed. Engage multiple senses. When recalling, don't just do it silently in your head. Try writing answers on a whiteboard, speaking your answers out loud, teaching the concept to someone or pretend students. This stimulates multiple sensory pathways, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, which leads to deeper encoding and retention. Practice questions under pressure. One of the most overlooked forms of active recall is doing practice questions, especially under exam-like conditions. Why it works. Forces you to retrieve information, not recognize it. Simulates the stress of a real exam. Reveals gaps in your understanding. Improves speed, accuracy, and confidence. I used this method extensively in medical school. I didn't just study content, I trained for the test by recreating test conditions. A challenge for you. Let's put this into action. Take out a sheet of paper and write down 3 key ideas you remember from this article. Don't scroll up. Don't look at your notes. Just recall. Done? Now compare it with the original. Did you remember everything? If not, that's exactly the point. Passive reading isn't enough. Only by testing yourself will you identify what you truly know and what you need to revisit. Final thoughts. Passive learning feels safe. Active recall feels hard. But guess what? That effortful. Struggle is exactly what builds lasting memory. If you want to study smarter, not longer, make active recall a core part of your learning strategy. Trust the neuroscience. Your brain and your grades will. Thank you.